Today we are making Mexican street corn here on Grow with Dr. Jonette. I was able to get some fresh corn on the cob. One of my local farmers that I love to go visit his farm stand, his corn is just starting to come in and I couldn't resist going down there on my way home from work this morning. I stopped by and sure enough, he had some of his first corn ready for purchase. So I was able to pick up about 4 years of nice fresh corn. And today I'm going to show you how to use them in one of my favorite recipes, Mexican street corn. It's basically corn with all kinds of yummy stuff on it, like cheese, etc. Make sure you watch all the way to the end because I'm including in today's episode my simplest smart tip for great barbecue Mexican street corn, as well as my neuronutrition nugget. You might be surprised to learn why corn is so healthy and considered even by some a brain superfood. You may have thought it was all just empty calories, but not true. And if you listen all the way to the end, you will find out why that's the case. So let's get cooking and make some Mexican street corn. We're going to start actually by shucking the corn or by peeling the corn. I'm not sure why it's called shucking it, but anyway, it just needs to get peeled, the leaves and the corn silk all want to come off. I also quite often will break off the stem part of it, or I guess it's the end of the cob part. The interesting thing about corn is that it has a lot of these, like what I call silk, and the silk actually is important to the corn for helping the actual kernels of the corn grow. If the kernel doesn't have a piece of silk going to it, it won't develop. That piece of silk has to get pollinated, and it can then help each individual corn kernel develop into a full kernel of corn. So sometimes you can get an ear of corn that will have like shrunken or shriveled up kernels on it. It might be because the corn is old and dry, but it also might be just because the silk in that area didn't develop and didn't feed the ear of the kernel of corn what it needed in order to develop properly. It doesn't matter if there's a few pieces of silk left on your corn. It's going to burn off when you barbecue it or grill it. Today we're going to be using a grill pan to grill it, so don't get upset if there's a little bit of silk left on your ear of corn. So once you've got the leaves off of it, the silk off of it, what do you want to do with that? I like to use that for compost. In fact, all of my kitchen scraps that I don't use for a stock or a broth go into a bucket in my kitchen, and then I take that out and put it on the compost pile. And the compost pile has all of my kitchen waste, it has all of my yard waste, and it becomes a giant compost pile that I then turn into organic fertilizer that I use and put back into my gardens, into my flower gardens, into my vegetable gardens. And it's a great way to not waste and reuse all of your organic material that comes from your kitchen. Okay, so what we're going to do first here before we roast up or barbecue up our corn is we're going to make the coating that we're going to put on the corn after it's barbecued. This is what actually makes your Mexican street corn. You may have had it at a fair or even from a food truck. So now you're going to be able to make it for yourself. You want to start with equal parts of mayonnaise, sour cream, butter, and Cotija cheese. Cotija cheese is a Mexican cheese. I buy it finely grated for this recipe. You can buy it and grate it yourself. You do want it fairly finely grated. Put a couple of tablespoons in there. And you'll need a little extra for when you get ready to serve it. I like to sprinkle a little extra cheese on top. a teaspoon of chili powder. Add to that some lime. I like to zest a little bit, not a lot. A little bit of lime zest there. You can see about how much we got. And a little bit of lime juice. Half of the lime is usually enough. Save the other half for when you serve it. I like to serve it with a few slices of lime if somebody wants to add some extra lime juice to it. And the last thing we want to add to the topping is some fresh cilantro. I don't know about you, but I've had problems in the past where I would purchase some fresh cilantro, bring it home from the farmer's market, and have a hard time keeping it from wilting. I usually grow it in my garden, so that isn't as much of a problem, but if you purchase it at the farmer's market or even at the supermarket, try to find nice, fresh-looking cilantro, and when you get it home, take and cut off about the bottom inch of the stems from the cilantro. Put it in, I put it in a little mason jar, a little jelly jar, any sort of container that you've got some water in it, and it will help keep it fresh for as much as a week. Sometimes I've been able to keep my cilantro fresh. Or best of all, of course, is just grow it yourself, maybe in your kitchen garden or a pot out there on your deck. But if you don't and you purchase it from the market, this is a great way to keep it fresh. We're going to chop up about a small handful of it. I like to use a food chopper, chops it up much finer than I'm able to chop it with a knife. So let's go ahead and chop that up. Nicely chopped. And we're going to go ahead and add that into our topping. Once it's all mixed together, I like to put it in the fridge to let it chill. A lot of times it gets pretty soft, and I like to have it nice and cold. It helps it stick onto the corn better when you're spreading it on the corn. Mix that all up good, and it's ready to put into the fridge. And we are ready for to grill up or barbecue up our corn. Frying pan here, and actually our grill pan. I like to use a grill pan a lot of times, especially if it's cold outside in the winter time. And I really like to grill my vegetables in a grill pan on the stove instead of on the barbecue outside. Meat, a lot of times I like to grill on the barbecue because the fat in it drips down, creates that nice flame, and you get that nice char on it. However, for vegetables, I find that I'm better able to control how charred they get by using a grill pan. I usually start by adding a little vegetable oil to my grill pan. You want to use vegetable oil rather than olive oil because your grill pan is going to be hot, and olive oil has a much lower smoke point. I'm going to go ahead and add my corn. And the smoke point of olive oil is, burnt olive oil is actually not good for you. So you don't want to use olive oil. I'm going to put a little oil on the corn here. As you can see, we're getting a little bit of smoking coming off of the corn out of the pan. Start to turn it a little bit here. I'm starting to get a little bit of grilling going on, a little bit of char on it. It takes about 5 to 8 minutes to cook it. While our corn is roasting, let's go ahead and talk about the neuroscience of why corn is actually so good for our brain. Who would have thought that one of our favorite movie snacks is good for our brain and may even be considered a superfood by some? What about it makes it not just a delicious treat, but also makes it great for our brain? For starters, corn is loaded with antioxidants. Remember, antioxidants are those powerful little substances that collect up all the free radicals in our brain and help protect our brain cells from oxidative stress. In other words, free radicals damage our brain cells, and antioxidants found in corn can protect them from that damage. Remember, when our cells are damaged, it leads to memory problems and cognitive decline. So next time that you are enjoying a bowl of popcorn at the movies, remember, in addition to being entertained or learning something, you're actually also boosting your brain power. So the next time someone says to you, corn is just a starchy side dish, you can tell them, no, actually, it is boosting my brain power and is a brain boosting superfood. If you found this neuronutrition nugget interesting and fascinating and want to learn more reasons about why corn is good for your brain, go to my website at growwithdrjoe.com, where I have a whole section on the superpower and the brain boosting power of corn. Let's check our corn and see how it's doing. It's been cooking now for probably about 8 minutes. And as you can see, it's got a pretty good char on it. One thing about the grill pan, sometimes the ends of it don't get quite as charred as the middle. But even with that, it seems to cook the kernels okay. The other thing I've noticed is, and you may hear it happen here too, is that every once in a while, one of the kernels will pop, and you'll hear like a loud crack noise. That's pretty normal. So now that it looks like our corn is pretty much done, let's go ahead and take it, and we're going to put it on a plate and coat it with the topping that we have in the refrigerator. Okay, let's go ahead and coat the corn with the coating that we made, the cheese, sour cream, mayonnaise, all that great stuff. I've actually let the corn cool down. I've discovered that if you try to coat the corn as soon as it comes out of the grill pan, that all of your goodness is going to melt right off of your ear corn. So make sure that the coating is a little on the chilly side, and the ear corn should be warm but not hot. And I like to coat it, give it a nice generous coating. You just set it right down. Have the corn all coated. I want to add a little bit of the Cotija cheese. Little cilantro that's been diced. You know, I found that cilantro is one of those interesting herbs. People either love it or they hate it. So if you're one of those people that isn't a fan of cilantro, that's not a problem. You could use a little parsley if you want that little extra pop of green, or you could just leave it off. Either way. Same with the lime. You may not like things that lime. You may not like the taste of lime juice, so you may want to just leave the lime off. I like to add a few lime slices to the plate. And before I go, I want to give you my SIS tip for this recipe. For this recipe, I used a grill pan. However, we could also use the grill outside. Either one works great. The corn will cook a little faster on the grill outside because you end up with a little more even heat around the corn. But the downside of it is it may burn a little quicker. So either way works great, and however you cook the corn, char the corn, grill the corn, either a grill pan or the barbecue works great. And there you have it. Your corn is ready to serve. Before you go, please click the like button and subscribe. I have a personal goal of reaching 10,000 subscribers by the end of this year. And if you found this content valuable, if you enjoyed my neuronutrition nugget, my SIS Simple as Smart tip, then please subscribe and tell your friends about it, share it. Thank you for watching. Go to growwithdrjonette.com for this recipe as well as other great recipes that are healthy, nutritious, and you will learn a lot about neuroscience and what in our food is good for our brain.